Okay.
Recording now, yeah. We can start whenever. I mean, we don't have to start right now, recording, but what do you where do we want to go?
Well, so episode
Inaugural
of
episode.
New Consciousness Now podcast, or I guess it'll be on YouTube, and so the New Consciousness Now
New Consciousness Now
show,
show.
podcast,
Yeah.
whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Uh, maybe if other people are going to be seeing this, maybe we should talk about what the heck we're doing
Yeah. Yeah.
and who we are, and like what the heck it is that we're up to.
Wow, what is this all about? What is our intention here? Yeah, maybe that would be a good place to start, is what our intentions are and who we are, and just kind of have a big old happy introduction.
Right? I mean, my thoughts were with the New Consciousness Now idea was based on something that you had. I'm sure you'll maybe have you explain that we'll be doing a little. There's some channeling going on,
Yeah.
and we'll be talking and channeling, and the idea for New Consciousness Now was something that you had said or channeled, which was that what I gathered was that there's sort of an emerging consciousness unfolding on the planet, and I suppose there's various people in various sort of anchored in various parts of that continuum, but that maybe we're sort of acting to help anchor the emerging consciousness into the now, bringing
Yes.
that more to amplifying that, the emerging consciousness, and bringing that
Yes.
into the now is what I thought
But
maybe we were doing.
yeah, and it's interesting because the new consciousness now is we're at such a interesting place right now, energetically and consciously, in humanity, because we've experienced such a huge consciousness shift that most people don't even know that a shift has happened. They just, if you're not plugged into the energy or whatever, you can just kind of sit with the world. You say, well, yeah, the world's a different place because of the advent of the internet and so on and so forth, but I don't really see much going on. But if you're tuned in, and you have been tuned in and have really been tuned in through the last, like, I don't know, 10, 12 years, it's a very different world because you can feel it. And
Right.
um,
If you're paying
we're,
close enough attention,
yeah,
and you can feel such things.
feel it. You can sense it. You just know that there's something different in the air, and that there's just a different feeling that's out there. And we're in a bit of an estuary of consciousness right now because we have essentially two rivers of consciousness coming together into this time right now, where we have the old 3D reality coming in, and we have a lot of people that are still operating in that 3D reality, and then we have this new consciousness that's here, and it's all mixed up together right now. And so,
Estuary, that's a good word.
yeah, it's like a mixture.
What's
And
an estuary? An estuary is where the river meets the ocean.
that's right. And the river meets the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a saltwater and freshwater mix, or an old consciousness and new consciousness mix.
A very rich place, they say.
Rich environment
Lots of
for lots of
critters living there.
change and life and things. Absolutely. Um,
Exciting. It's exciting to be in an estuary.
It is, and the interesting thing with all of this is that um, there are new. I don't like the word rules, but there are new ways in which energy, people, and situations are responding to things that are different than they used to be.
Hmm.
And because of that, there's a different set of rules or ways that we can approach life that will work now that didn't work
Hmm. Kind of a
in the
new,
past.
kind of a new physics.
A new physics, exactly. And in fact, quantum physicists will even tell you that um, when you have a when you have a dimensional shift, or you have a different dimension, that your physics actually change from one dimension to the next. And so we've essentially jumped from 3 to 5, and so physics is all different.
Mm.
Our relational field and our relating is all different.
Right.
We're all we're all different.
So this is
All
based on
connected.
stuff that you channeled or information that you're downloading from somewhere.
This is, yeah, yeah. So a little background. I'll be honest.
Yes.
I don't read really any books. I don't watch YouTubes. I don't keep up on what other people are channeling. I don't do those things, mostly because I'm curious what I'm curious just purely what they have to say to me.
Mm.
And I don't I don't bring in a lot of other stuff from other places um because I don't want to, I just tarnish what's
You
coming
don't want
through,
to
and I don't,
taint
yeah,
the
don't want to taint the
info.
container, right? And so I don't want to get slanted in a certain direction.
Hmm.
And so I
Right.
just kind of let them talk, and I've noticed that there are things coming through that I'm kind of nervous to talk about because they go so far against what what most people commonly practice
Right.
and commonly do.
I was just
So,
saying that to someone. I was just saying like I was telling them about what we were gonna do, and I was like, I'm nervous because it's gonna, yeah, maybe anyone who's watching this, my family or anyone else, regular people might see this and be like, what the
what the
heck, or is he?
what
This is
is up?
this is the guy that I let work on me. Oh my god.
How weird is this, man? You talk about that. Um,
Can you say a little bit about? I didn't mean to cut you off there. You
sure.
were on a roll, maybe. Can you say a little bit about like who these beings or who this is that you're sort of channeling, or what they are,
Yeah.
or where that information comes from, or
My understanding of this, and this is what was given to me in a channeling that I did a couple of months ago, um, is that it comes essentially. They said there were 6 places that they listed, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to remember all 6 right now. But what I can say is that one of the one of the places that I commonly get information is from the the human soul field, which is essentially the collective consciousness of humanity. And if you will, um, and it comes from,
is that similar to the Akashic records, or is that something else,
well, it would be,
or part of that, or something?
the Akashic records would be a dovetail of that in 3D, but in the new 5D, the Akashic records doesn't even
Mm.
exist. It's
Mm.
not there. So this is one of the estuary pieces of, we've got some people still using the Akashic records and other people who are not.
Mm.
And Akashic record,
They're
yeah,
using an old manual, huh?
yeah. So this is one of those things that I was talking about, that I'm challenged to speak about, because they tell me these things and I know them to be true just because of the way certain
Mm.
things come through.
The way it feels.
And so, it's going to take someone having to ask the question, I suppose, before the information actually comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But so, like, that's one difference, for example. But the way I'm referring to like the soul field is more of a the present future potentiality of humanity. In other words, what did the collective decide to become? What did we decide to evolve into?
Mm-hmm.
That is present here now,
Now.
and that is the consciousness that I go to often is that place of what is it that humanity chose to become, and then bringing that information into words and in through energetics. That's one place, and then depending on the message or depending on the topic or the person, sometimes if I'm channeling for an individual, sometimes there are just straight up aliens that come through that are just like it's very alien. It feels the energy is different, the speaking is different. There's another place that there is a council of sorts, and there's a couple of beings on this council that come through and talk sometimes, and that is also a little different. There's one that comes through that speaks more in terms of healing energy, and that one is more, that being is white. And then there's another one that comes through that's blue, and that one deals more with consciousness in general.
It's kind of a handful of places, huh?
So yeah, there's a handful of places, and it really kind of is topic and need dependent.
So it's just like someone is something, or someone is I don't know. We ask a question and they decide which one of those channels is best to answer it.
Yeah.
Like a switchboard, like they plug in the alien. The alien guy, he's good at this one. Or the white light being dude, he's good at this one. So let's give it to him.
That switch. And we're talking to Gary down here. Gary the bus driver. And so we better get something really pragmatic in here. So we actually are gonna plug you into the Akashic Records, because Gary needs a past life to know about, see what's going on in Gary's world. So that definitely plays in as well. Well, hey, I wanted to get a little background. Maybe we could share a little background on you as well.
First of all, what's your name?
Oh, my name's Gail.
You're Gail Wolf.
Gail Wolf. I suppose we should introduce our names, right?
WULFF. Is that how you spell that?
Well, that's the way it was spelled when I was born, and now I'm spelling it WULF.
Okay.
And there are numerological reasons for that. And so WULF is more of is the name I use on a professional stage or in a format. So yeah.
And you can be found. Where can people find Gail Wolf?
Well, here sometimes
online.
You'll be able to find them at gailwolf.com.
Okay. But, you have a website? You do have a website?
Coming up sometime. I'm not.
Oh, you don't right now.
Nah, it's in process right now, and so. So there is Facebook, and I've got a business page that I call Catalyst Rising.
Okay.
And then I'm also on Instagram and Twitter, but I don't really count that because I don't really post much.
Right. So mostly Gail Wolf can be found on the social media platforms. And do you do online sessions with people, or how do you offer people from those? Yeah.
Sure do. I do personal sessions for people where I'll do an intuitive read or a channeling for someone, and every session is a little bit different. Sometimes it's just straight up channeling, other times it's more of a personal thing, personal read. And then I do online groups, for example, a business mastermind group that I'm doing, and then there's another one where it's called The Channel, where people come together and practice using their intuition with each other so they can develop
You're teaching people how to do this? How to
Yeah.
channel?
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. Teach people how to channel, how to speak light language, how to tune into their animals, their pets, remote viewing. These are all things that this group does. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fun. We just come
Cool.
together and play, quite honestly, but
Right.
there's structure to it, you know.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
And then
Great.
do retreats and workshops and stuff like that, online classes, that kind of thing too. So
Cool.
yeah,
Gail Wolf. All right.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, well, should I
yeah,
say who I am or what the heck I
yeah,
do?
yeah. So tell us a bit about yourself, Dr. J. What is your name?
I am Jay Eaker, Dr. Jay Eaker. I
Uh-huh.
go by sometimes. Um, I have a practice here in Louisville, Colorado, where I've been seeing people doing hands-on work with people for the last almost 20 years now.
Wow.
It's crazy. In the Boulder area here. I'm in Louisville, Colorado, and I come out of the chiropractic world. I have a chiropractic degree. As of late, I'm not a licensed. I don't know if I need to mention it, but I'm not a licensed chiropractor anymore in in Colorado because the work that I do just kind of seemed to be getting farther and farther away from what the sort of mainstream accepted version of chiropractic is. The sort of what most people think of when they think of chiropractic. I'm not
Hmm.
really. I feel like I'm getting farther and farther and farther and farther away from that. So I let my license go, but I have a chiropractic degree, hence the doctor on
Yeah.
the front of Jay
So
Eaker. And
so tell us a little bit about like where has your practice gone? Like what is it that you do that's diverged so far from chiropractic, and what took you there?
sure. Yeah, so while I was in chiropractic school, I discovered this technique called network chiropractic, network spinal analysis. And yeah, long story short, I discovered that towards the end of my chiropractic training and had kind of a huge awakening with that and decided, well, this is cool. This is a thing that I want to do. And so it's something that I felt like was finally worth sharing with people, as opposed to kind of what a lot of chiropractic, kind of regular chiropractic, seemed really just kind of about back pain, people's pain, getting people out of pain. And certainly pain was something that brought me to chiropractic, and the relief of pain was a big change that happened. But I also kind of had an experience that showed me through this network chiropractic that like pain was actually the window, that pain was actually the solution, that everything that there was a veil had been removed from my eyes as a result of going towards the pain. Something had this network chiropractic had helped sort of like soften my heart towards a pained, a hurt part of myself. And in
Uh-huh.
going into that part of myself, a new consciousness unfolded, and I suddenly could sort of like see how if I was the problems I was having in my body or my life are largely my own. I was responsible largely for that, and could also see how in my ignorance I had caused myself and others lots of pain. Um, and for the first time, life seemed really something new and fun
Uh-huh.
for the first time. And so I was like, here we go. This is like, how many more of these veils are there? How many more of these
Hey.
veils are there? And so, and felt like, oh, this is something that I want to share with other people. Like, I want to help other people remove these veils, and so I started down the network chiropractic path, and doing that for maybe 10 years or so, but I always, in working on people, I always felt at points like I felt called to sort of do things that didn't sort of fit in the network chiropractic protocol, or didn't know exactly where they fit. And there was some conflict in me there, but kind of came to a place where I feel like the next level of my own awakening was calling, and kind of discovered mindfulness meditation and, just some tools for sort of bringing more attention, kinder attention, another level of kind attention to what was happening in my body and my life. And those things that were sort of calling me when I was working with people got louder and louder. And so eventually I just decided, well, go with that. I don't know why I'm being drawn in this direction, but let's just go with it. And with the help of some other teachers and a few different teachers giving me permission to do that. One in particular giving me the permission to follow what he said, follow the river of chi. And I was like, oh, I can do that. That's this thing that's sort of like calling me, the river of chi. Some flowing intelligence, that is sort of like drawing me in a certain direction. So follow that. And ever since I started following that, when I work with people, it's just got a lot more powerful and a lot more fun, and just my capacities sort of help people deal with stuff that they're dealing with as a result of their own evolution. It just my ability to meet those people seemed to increase. And so I've been following the river of chi, and recently I, it seemed to even get more distance from this network care thing. So I'm working on a book. Yeah. And the process of working on a book is like epic, and that's causing a whole other level of transformation in me. And it just became clear, like, oh, well, I might as well call what I'm doing, give it a name. And so I call it bio-soul integration. My sense is that our purpose here is to integrate our soul's gifts and our soul's essence into these bodies so that we can share those with the planet. Yeah. And so I feel like that's what's happening anyway. That's what life is kind of constantly trying to get us to figure out. To integrate our soul's essence and gifts into these bodies, onto this physical plane, to express them here. And so connection of the integrating body and soul, bio-soul integration.
So is that,
and I do that in my office. I've been doing that hands-on mostly. But in the for whatever reason, recently I've felt called, before this whole coronavirus thing, felt called to sort of, do distance work with people. I can certainly navigate the river. I don't have to necessarily, be able to touch someone in the physical to navigate the river of chi, because of course that's everywhere. But so I've been doing distance work with people also, and here we are in this new coronavirus age, and it seems like that might be useful. So I do distance sessions with people.
Absolutely. So where can people find you? Where can people
good question.
Locate you?
biosoulintegration.com. That's my website, and I can be found everywhere else that there is: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. On my YouTube channel, I turn those into podcasts, and so wherever you do your podcasting, you should be able to find me there. But it's biosoulintegration.com. Yep.
Nice.
That's it.
Nice. So this river of chi, is that like how would you describe the river of chi? So everybody has a river of chi inside of them. That's like, is this like a potential, potential goodness inside? Is it like, where does it come from? Where do you take it? What do you take of that river?
Well, I think it's the leading edge. It's the new consciousness now. It's the leading edge of unfolding, evolutionary unfolding that's happening on the planet and with human beings. And it's, I tell you what I do is I let my attention rest in my body and notice everything I see there with kind, give everything that I find there my kind attention, and then I let my eyes rest on the person that I'm working with. And as soon as I do that, there are sensations in me that come to the surface that say, hey, you know, pay closer attention to us. It just sort of seems clear that I sort of tap into the river of chi, the sort of river of energy that sort of animates, that's sort of like animating us and this. And I can just sort of feel where there are blocks in the river of chi, and by giving it my kind attention, and by placing my hands somewhere on or over the person's body, that those boulders in the river of chi kind of start to dissolve and sort of like join the river. And then I can feel that, but then you can also see in a person's body, like their breath starts to move to parts of their spine that there wasn't breath in or movement before, and tension in their body changes. Maybe there's an emotional release. They certainly report, you know, changes in consciousness, so which are measurable, by the way. But so that's how I do what I do. And I tend to work in an open room with multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I do that with one person, there's some time for their body to kind of sort that out. And then I can move from one table to the next and kind of dance around like that. And it kind of creates this sort of entrainment field where, you know, our nervous systems pick up on what's happening. And that becomes the sort of dominant pattern generator. If everyone in the room is sort of connecting with what's working and what's connecting with resource and connecting with the new consciousness now, then it creates a field, and I don't have to work as hard.
Yep.
It just starts happening.
You just follow it.
Yep.
Follow the river.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
So would you say then that this kind of gluing a few pieces together here, if you will, maybe a little conjecture, would you say then that people, when they come into a common field or come in close to each other and have a certain intention for healing, that there's something that just innately comes online where they start to self-organize, and then you're kind of like the maestro, kind of pulling Pinocchio strings or something?
Right. I think
that works.
It just takes someone to be able to sort of see that thing, you know, to be able to bring your attention to it and sort of like hold it and then keep holding it. And then that sort of becomes it gains momentum, you know, just like, what's this term entrainment. If you have, if you have a guitar in one corner of the room and a guitar in the other corner of the room, and you strum the chord on one guitar, the other one just picks it up. I guess that's more resonance. But if you have something that's sort of oscillating, you have two things that are sort of oscillating, and one is a stronger driver of that rhythm, the other one will sort of entrain to it. And so that's what we're sort of like bringing attention to, this river of chi, and it starts to gain momentum, and other people's nervous systems then start to entrain to that. I mean, the opposite of that, not the opposite, but the way that we sort of the boulders in the river of chi get there is like when we come into this world, we feel how part of our nervous system is online. We're just feeling into our environment, relating directly to the energetic milieu of our environment. We feel into our parents and the culture, and you know, what are the ways that they learn to sort of push parts of themselves away and disconnect from parts of themselves. And we just assume like, oh, well, that must be the way it's done here. And since we rely on them for our survival, then it's like, oh, well, that's what it means to be human, I guess. So I'll do that. I'll adopt that way of being. And so that happens, the second when we're in the womb, probably 2 to 4 weeks after our nervous system starts to develop in the womb, up until about age 7. That part of the nervous system that's just feeling in the environment is running the show. And so through entrainment, we gather how it is to do this human thing through entrainment. And that out there, generally, that's the sort of dominant pattern generator, this message that says, if it hurts or if it's uncomfortable, the best strategy is to push it away and not look at it, avoid it. And so everyone is, shopping or having sex or drinking or watching movies or doing all the million, or even meditating or working out for that matter, doing or work, using all things that we use to excess to sort of help ourselves not feel vulnerable, not feel that vulnerability. And getting sick brings up a lot of vulnerability. It's one of the reasons why we don't like it. So that, we're in train, that's the main pattern generator sort of out there. But in here, in my office, or in any space that gets created, where you're bringing attention to the river of chi and the animating the force that's animating us, that becomes the dominant pattern generator. And kind of my experience, what goes with that is sort of this sense that like none of this is a mistake, and that life is holding us, and that what's happening, everything that's happening is happening for a reason, and it's happening to get us to make us feel, to help us feel things that need to be felt, so that we can adopt new consciousness, so that we can evolve into better versions of ourselves, our higher versions of ourselves. I think we're all being drawn in that direction, is my sense. But like you can't fuck it up. It's like you can't, like, life is taking us towards an evolved version of ourselves, and everything that we encounter is designed to that end. And so this trick is to say yes to what you feel, to what you encounter, and say yes to it. Your life and your body is not screwing with you.
Nope.
It's not. Nope. It's not the enemy. Life, which some people could think or feel right now, like,
oh, for sure.
WTF? What's life doing to us? What's my body doing to me? But life and our body are not the enemy.
I had an interesting channeling a while back. It was a group channeling, and somebody had asked, what is my purpose? Or what is our something about purpose. I don't remember the question itself. And the answer that came through was really interesting to me, because it wasn't your classic, to love or to grow or to whatever. And it was that your purpose is to do whatever you're doing in the moment. Your purpose is to live your life. Your purpose is to be here. Your purpose is to have every experience you have.
Right.
And even in that even if you're born for 10 minutes and then you pass away right away, or you're born in a coma and you're in a coma for 5 years, and then you pass away. He said, if you are incarnated and you are alive, no matter what you're doing, so long as you have life in you, you are evolving.
You're right on track.
You are on track. You are living your purpose.
You're living your purpose. Yeah, right.
And we have all of these stories that we create, all these ideas that we create about what that actually is, and then we call that purpose. And in truth, it's not that complicated. It's just simply to be here, have this experience,
Mm.
And then to dovetail that one step further, it was that none of this matters.
Mm.
None of it matters. The coronavirus does not matter. The bills, the whatever's, like, nothing matters. That we take everything so serious and
Right.
so personal and so
Right.
just, you know, we make everything so big and meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, walking through the woods and a bird poops on the ground in front of you as you're walking
Mm-hmm.
on the trail, right? And
Mm-hmm.
someone might go, "Ooh, that must mean bad luck because a bird pooped in my path or something." And somebody else says, "Oh, this must mean good luck because, wow, it was so close
Because the
because
bird missed me.
the bird missed me," right? And somebody else just goes, "Oh, bird took a shit," and they keep walking.
Right.
It's like, you know, we all make things whatever we want them to be. It's we all live our own narrative, and uh, that once we decide to no longer have that narrative and just start experiencing that really is
Mm-hmm.
the gist of it, to get out of
Mm-hmm.
our own ways and just
Mm-hmm.
have the experience
Mm.
is quite simply
Mm.
it.
Yeah. That brings lots of peace to me when you say that. I'm so in my way.
Yeah,
So working so hard to do it right, and ugh.
yeah, I totally get it. I am so serious. I'm so focused. I'm gonna get it
Mm-hmm.
done. I'm the guy you can rely on. I'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I know that one.
Mm-hmm. Especially coming from the Midwest, right? We're both from the Midwest. Like I said, I feel like
Midwest, yeah,
there's a thing there that says if you're not, my experience was anyway, I grew up in Nebraska, like if you're not literally working your ass off, the minute you stop doing that, you're worthless.
yeah. You
So
are wasting your time.
fun and recreation and rest, don't have a huge, if any, value
Yeah,
the second you stop just driving your ass into the ground. You're worthless.
yeah,
That's my experience anyway.
yeah.
Trying to heal that.
There is certainly a mindset around the doing, the doing,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is really interesting. That right now we are all slowed down into just being.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Really,
Exactly.
the whole
Yeah.
planet just came to a
Yeah.
grinding halt.
Oh, I can feel it. I can feel life has been doing this to me for the last, like prior to this, like for the last month before even this happened. I could just feel it. Life is like, just Jay, just stop. It's gonna be okay. Like we got it. Just stop. And even now, I'm trying to. "Oh, can I? Oh, can I? How can I? How can I roll this into? Use this situation, and
Yeah,
at every turn, sort of, kind of life is just saying, nope, just stop. Nope, just stop. I mean, like in Boulder here and in Denver, they're tonight starting at 5. It's like the stay-at-home, shelter-in-place order for all businesses. So,
what's that mean? Does that mean
what's that mean?
you literally can't leave the house? Is that what that means?
No,
Do you get in
you can
trouble for
leave
going
that.
out for?
I don't know how can they enforce it. I'm not sure if it will get enforced other than by just the community, but I don't know if you'll get like stop. You can go all essential businesses stay open, like grocery stores and medical facilities. Um, I think probably maybe like banks and what else? What else is sort of essential? Pharmacies and weed stores, the dispensaries. Funny enough,
Weed stores stay open.
dispensaries are essential medical.
I
Yeah,
love it. That's
I
great.
saw this thing on Facebook. This is the first time in history where you get stopped by a cop, and this cop says where you're going, and you get off the hook by saying, "I'm going to get weed. I'm going to buy weed."
It's hilarious.
Oh, be on your way.
Be on your
Then.
way, young lad.
In that case, be on
Gosh.
your way.
Yeah, you better. I don't want to hold you up.
So there's the thing in the chiropractic world, like trying to figure out if chiropractors are essential healthcare or whatever. I'm in Louisville. I'm between Boulder and Denver. So it's in Boulder City and Denver City. Technically, I'm neither. So I've been battling, kind of conflicted in myself. Like, do I shut down or not? And things kind of keep just going more and more and more in that direction. I have a few people that are showing up. Maybe I'll see 5 people this week if I stay open.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So I don't know. Yep. Stop. Rest.
Yep. Stop and rest. Chill out a little bit.
We had some interesting conversation about that last time. Thanks to your channels about what this is. Do you think we should, I don't know, maybe we should, should like current events.
Current events.
How do you feel about talking about this coronavirus thing a little bit, what it might be, accessing the beings?
Yeah, there's there's some stuff to be said about that for sure.
Well, what I thought was interesting. Well, what's an overview? What do they have to say about what this is all about? I'm sure that is a large,
It is one
unfocused
of
topic, but
this is actually one of the first major global like shifts that we're gonna see. And what's interesting is they continually tell me that this is going smoother than they could have ever hoped. Those that are,
thank God,
positive, yeah, that that essentially when humanity elected to evolve beyond 2012 or to ascend in consciousness, that there were certain timelines that became possible, and right now we are experiencing one of those timelines, and it is a timelines of ascension. And there are certain things, events that would come forward in order to move us through these timelines and get kind of equalize the balance in humanity between what are often called the light workers and those who are maybe not necessarily awake just yet. And that one of the most effective ways to waking people up is through discomfort, or through, like what you're talking about, is pain. And if you go online, there are a lot of people right now talking about fear and how to have a good relationship with it, or those sorts of things, which is essentially pain and fear are on a very similar spectrum. And so there's this great equalizing that's happening on the planet right now between people, and this coronavirus is actually helping us with that. And one of the major energetic shifts that this is helping us with are really 2 areas. Primarily, one is the fear that a lot of people carry in their bellies and in their solar plexus, belly, and first chakra. There's a ton in there, and also in the lungs. It attacks
I
the
was gonna
lungs. There's
say,
an
what about the
emotional component
lungs?
to it
Yeah,
as well. Yeah,
since this
it's a
virus
major
seems to be all about the lungs.
major component there. And so what it is just a lot. It's really it's all about grounding fear. Grounding the fear is really what it's
Mm.
about. And so essentially, it's like if you've ever had too much sugar, or you've had maybe, I don't know if too much caffeine, sometimes they'll do it, but where you just feel ungrounded, kind of unsettled, a little agitated, take that and multiply it a lot, and that's essentially what the
Mm.
coronavirus is like to have in your system,
Mm.
and it's similar to that.
Mm.
And one of the keys in this is it's helping remove that fear from the collective, that the people
Mm.
who have it essentially signed on for it to have it,
Mm. Mm.
and that they're like on a soul level is what I'm talking about
Mm.
here, and that they're like working through a lot of the fear inside of themselves to
Mm.
or it's being worked through them,
Mm.
whether they like it or not. And on a collective level, there are a number of I'll use the words conspiracy theory, or
Mm.
um, things that are happening, that are events that are going on that are not integrous. Let's
Uh-huh.
put it that way. Places where corporations and
Mm.
governments have been out of alignment, have been out of integrity for a long, long time. And that there are going to be a series of events coming forward from really 9/11 or even before, but where there's just stuff that's going to come to light after the event that caused people to go, oh my gosh, like that was created, or this
Mm.
was something that somebody released into the public, or this is something that was deliberately done to create something else or to do something else. And so there's this huge unraveling that's coming forward out of this as well. And so it's part of a grand plan,
Mm.
part of a grand plan that really, from what I've been shown, was created, well before Corona was even developed, in a lab or wherever.
Mm.
Um, Corona just happened to be the virus that fit the bill. It could have been something else, the
Mm.
American bird flu, or who knows what else. But
Right. One of the other, right.
yeah,
Well, yeah, you said last time we talked, you were saying it's man-made. So even though it's man-made somehow, and you were mentioning that somehow things that are we've come to a certain place where things that are happening, designed for the ill of humanity, are going to get turned around into something good.
yeah, yeah. It's ultimately taking us to a better place. The it's kind of like, you gotta, it's like removing the boulders from the river of Chi, like kind of like what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
that humanity has a massive river of Chi that wants to flow, and you've got a lot of organizations that just don't want to see that happen.
Hmm.
Our governments do not want to see us thrive, no matter what they
Mm-hmm.
say. Corporations don't want to see us thrive. If we're thriving, if we're balanced, if we're healthy, if we're happy, we don't necessarily need those organizations. Um, if we're fighting and we're disputing, we're challenged and kind of essentially beaten down, then we need someone to govern us to create order. But in truth, it's just like, this is where fractalized consciousness comes into play, because it's like, if you're in your body and you are really balanced and harmonious and going well, the same thing applies to humanity. Is that, if you know like, if your body's healthy, you're moving through, you don't need anything to help you get down the road. You
Mm-hmm.
don't need anything to help you get from point A to point B. Same thing with humanity. If humanity is healthy and balanced, there's an organizing principle that looks over humanity, and there's like a divine blueprint that this is the optimal operating consciousness for humanity, and that is
Mm-hmm.
currently active and organizing us constantly to bring us into that divine blueprint. It's like the innate intelligence inside of a human body. It reorganizes the body. Humanity has an organizing principle as well that is organizing us right now. And because we made the deliberate shift to move into 5D or higher dimensions of consciousness, or to evolve, if you really want to keep it simple, that's what has activated this organizing principle for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all part of it.
Right. What I hear you saying is if we sort of everyone sort of tapped into to the river of chi or whatever, then we would all just sort of like fill a role and things would go smoothly, and maybe we don't necessarily need government to run the show. But I don't know. That
Yeah.
seems like that's kind of. I mean, things could change. Uh, yeah, some solar flare or something, and consciousness is suddenly changed to 5D or whatever you're talking about. But and then all of a sudden we're there. But it seems like I don't know. For the in the meantime, it seems like government not necessarily a bad thing. It would be nice
Oh
if they
no,
weren't
no, not at all.
if they weren't
And
corrupt.
I'm certainly not advocating anarchy or doing away with governments. Evolution, as we all know, takes a lot of time,
Mm-hmm.
and we're at a heightened state of it where it's like it's moving faster now than normal. But there's still a need for governing principles to have a functioning society. There's still enough boulders in the river of chi of
Mm-hmm.
humanity that get in the way and mess things up, and we do need government right now to keep things organized. But down the road in the future, it's going to be pointless. It will be absolutely pointless to have any outside authoritative sort of governing body where we're able to essentially function as an organism.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, if you ever watched like a school of fish
Right.
that they all swim together and they don't really hit each other. Those birds, they go through the sky.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that's organizing them into their movements. There's something that organizes them to where they're not hitting each other, but they're all moving in unison together.
Right.
And the way it's been described to me is that
They're acting as
humanity,
one.
yeah, they all operate as one, and humanity has those same organizing principles within it and within us, and that we have that same capacity. And we're even starting to see it more so, on a micro level. If you really want to make it pragmatic, like more and more often, people are like calling or texting, and you're going, "Hey, man, I was just thinking about you 2 minutes ago," and all of a sudden they text. Like that is like a small example of that taking place. And one of the things that has been coming through real clear with this, one of the first places it's going to show up is in business, is because we'll start seeing businesses that no longer have a hierarchy established. It'll be more of everybody kind of has their role, and everyone kind of knows what that role is. And you have meetings and stuff. There's a lot of communication, but there is just more of a sense of unison, and one person kind of has an idea for something, and then they come into work with it the next morning, and then like 2 or 3 other people speak up and goes, "I had that same idea last night." Well, I'll be darned. Well, let's give it a shot. Like you'll find yourself being all on the same page much faster and much easier, and there'll be a lot less judgment towards one another when those alignments don't happen.
Yeah. So somehow somehow though our, roads and stuff get fixed and all that stuff happens. I mean, seems like there's got to be some in between zone.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like I said, no, evolution takes time, and there's going to be there things are just going to change shape. Just going to change shape.
Right. But you're saying that's where we're headed.
Yeah, headed, down the road. I'm not saying that's what's going to come out tomorrow or next week or the next. That's where we're like that's not what we're evolving into next, but that's that's the trajectory of where we're going.
Right.
And okay, so one of the things here is that we're talking about the next wave of consciousness. Like, we're getting massive downloads of energy and information right now that are going to take thousands of years to plane out and level out, where they become fully activated in our consciousness.
Right.
It's like when like our bringers of consciousness, if you want to think about Buddha or Jesus or Muhammad or whoever you want to throw out there, they came in, they had an idea, they had a frequency that they brought, and they stirred things up while they were alive, and then after they departed, they left that frequency in humanity in order for humanity to find its own balance again. And Buddha came in, brought a wave of consciousness for knowing thyself. And then Jesus came in. It's like, okay, now that you know yourself, now you need to learn to love yourself, love thy neighbor, And now the new collective is the newer version now is more about oneness and harmony. It's not just, it's the loss of separate identity and more of the acknowledgement of the oneness. Is really the next tier of evolution that we're going to be evolving through for the next few thousand years.
Yeah, I think like despite lots of people's feelings about Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and the internet and I don't know, all the things that go along with that 5G. And I feel like Facebook, social media, certainly it's got bad, has some bad traits. Like anything can go bad for people, but it seems like it's a reflection of, oneness that's happening. Sort of we're all connected through it. And although it's not a perfect reflection of oneness, like there is some way we're all connected through the internet. The world's becoming a smaller place. We're all getting more connected. We all know more about what's happening on the other side of the planet and what people are feeling in different places, and as opposed to back before all that was available, where you worked on your farm or whatever and you didn't know what was going on more than a mile away. We're more connected. Seems like a reflection of, and then this coronavirus thing sort of making everyone hang out with each other at home on one level, social distancing on another level. I don't know, spend more time with your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More time with the family, more time with the self.
Exactly. Yep. It's doing that for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no sports. Can't watch sports. What else is not going on? Can't go to a movie.
No.
Can't go to a bar.
Can't go out to eat.
Can't go to a bar. Can't go out to eat. So, gotta hang out with your family and yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. This is unprecedented.
Cool. Should we, I don't know, have you can you like access the you, can you access the peeps at will? Are they constantly knocking on the door?
Usually, there's usually something that
How does that? Yeah, how is that like? They sort of like always there, and you just gotta let them in, or and I know probably a question would be good.
I usually, yeah, yeah. You can start off with that.
What's that?
Yeah, start off with a question.
Well, let's see. Well, you were saying that this thing is that they were saying it's man-made. Do they have anything to say about that? And also, I guess I'm interested in this what we started talking about. You're kind of saying like there are, if you want to get into the conspiracies side of things, there are forces, governments that don't have our best interest in mind. And like how is that all working? What's going on with that? Who's who? If they if this is man made, who made it and what's the purpose and why did they make it?
This is the sort of this is the sort of answer that reflects the greatest darkness that humanity has hidden within it, because it points to the deviousness, the callousness, and the degree of separation in which you have been living in for quite some time. The type of separation that enables one human to create or intend to create damage or harm to another, regardless of reasoning. The simple nature of having a virus that was created in a lab and put into a population, the simple implications of that and the degree of pain and suffering that exists in such an action is hard to stomach, and thus most people reject such a notion.
Mm-hmm.
However, you must understand that in a world that believes it is separate means that it struggles as deeply and as hard as it can to find reconnection. In the world that you have been living in and in the society that has been created, you have established a belief in connection that relates to the idea of power and control. That which is feared is always subject to being controlled. In fact, it is the natural human impulse to try to control fear.
Mm-hmm.
Or in your case, the way you speak would be pain. Try to control what's not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a person who has power on the mind, and that is your way of having connection, and you have a number of people that you cannot control, a population, does it not make sense to do something to enable you to have what you desire most? And that is your connection to the power that you believe is essential for you to have joy. You have so many examples in your world of the atrocities that humans are capable of perpetrating upon one another. You have videos and you have photos from wars, from battles, from terrorist attacks, all shining examples of what human beings are willing to do to one another for the idea of power or control. Given those examples, it is not much of a stretch to imagine that one would do such a thing in a bottle or in a vial and release it to a population.
Mm-hmm. So there's someone out there who's using fear to control us through this thing.
Yes. You have also a cross-pollination of ideas and engineering that has gone into the creation of this virus. It reacts and acts exactly as it was intended to. There was more than one lab that helped to create it. Information was shared between countries, between labs, between locales in order to create what you are experiencing. However, we would rather focus more on the grander picture. You have you have in your collective a trajectory. You have in your collective that which is the perfect unison of humanity working well with itself. And when humanity works well with itself, it will also work well with your brother and sister nations that are around other star systems. You are eventually going to be uniting with an intergalactic community. And this is all in preparation for that. There is great celebration at what you are experiencing right now, because you would not be experiencing this had you not decided to grow and to evolve. The virus itself and these events themselves were all approved of. We're all committed into a reality years ago. Years ago, certain timelines were witnessed and agreed upon by the collective of humanity. You are essentially a large organism living upon a planet that has decided to embrace itself. And that is what is occurring right now. If you will notice, not only is there an invitation to stay at home, even a requirement to stay at home, there are numerous people on the planet at this time who are having awarenesses that are taking them deeper into themselves than they have gone before. These awarenesses are due to a handful of changes that have arisen over the last month. There are different energies that are being presented to the planet that were not here before, that are starting to amplify people's intuitions and thus their curiosities, not only about themselves, but each other. In these curiosities, a certain amount of digging occurs to where people begin to look inside themselves with a deeper sense of interest. And what is being discovered is not always pretty. And therefore, the result is a desire for greater self-love. Humanity on a collective has embraced that as its new trajectory, the trajectory to love itself. Considering where this virus goes and how it operates, the emotional body is often balanced and reconciled through the breath. As the breath enters and leaves the body, there are ions and there are a number of physiological effects that occur when a person breathes. These effects go so far beyond the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the lungs and the blood. There are energetic and physiological events that occur with each breath. And there is a certain releasing and a certain embracing that occurs with each breath as well. This virus essentially slows down a degree of that ionization and therefore heightens certain emotions in the body that you would term as being negative. Therefore, the person experiences a higher degree of fear and a higher degree of what you would call something negative. In their body. On the collective, this is your invitation to learn to connect with one another on a different level. Because at this time, you have no choice but to connect with yourselves. This is a grand opportunity in the middle of a grand shift. The greatest way to optimize your time during this time is to slow down, is to self-evaluate, is to check in on yourself, be present with yourself, and be present with everything that you feel and notice about yourself during this time. You may notice a shift in your desires, a shift in what you want in life. That is exactly what this time is for. Evaluating who you are and what you want.
Getting clear on getting clear on our desires, because intention's pretty big.
Residing now during this time, during this window, is potentiality. Therefore, you are planting seeds of consciousness at this time. What you focus on now in terms of intentions and what you become clear about within your own being has a very ripe effect on what will manifest in the future. Right now, during this time, it is crucial to be clear about who you are and what you want. variances in this during this time for some can have catastrophic potentials. That is to say, if you are one now who is harboring ill will towards someone else, or you are possibly hurting other people or doing things to subjugate others, beware. These things will not work, nor will they energetically be tolerated or entertained as this energy shifts. Therefore, what this equates to is you reap what you sow, and you shall reap it quickly. On the other side of the coin, with the richness of the energy and the accessibility that your DNA now has to the manifesting powers of the earth, those of you who are aligned with a dream that is in alignment with the collective of humanity will find your seeds taking root and sprouting exactly what you're looking for. Understand, none of your desires are a mistake. Everything you want, everything you desire, everything that you are trying to create is exactly as it should be. Trust what you want. Be willing to ask for it. Be willing to move forward into it. Be brave, because many of you are used to asking for too little.
Is it okay for me to interject at certain times?
Mm.
So it sounds like the good that can come out of this is that it's bringing up fear that's sort of getting in the way of us, getting in the way of us manifesting our desires that come from our higher desire, come from our higher self or our soul or whatever. And it sounds like feel the fear, and it's important time to focus our intentions, it sounds like, on what we want to see, probably for ourselves and the planet and our communities.
We must make an adjustment to one of our statements. Certain of those who have heard this, who are hearing this, are beginning to think about riches and fame. Understand that when we talk about getting clear on what you want, we know, the universe knows, that money is necessary for you now. If you have had the desire to have $1 million, just to have $1 million, these aren't the sorts of things that we are talking about. If you've had a vision within you for some time, a desire that's been with you for years, that you have passion about, these are the sorts of things that we are referring to.
Mm-hmm.
Passion is your fertilizer.
Mm-hmm.
Passion is what will make the garden grow.
Those things that light us up.
Those things that light you up. These are the things that we are referring to.
Mm-hmm.
These are also the things that will pull to you and attract to you the resources necessary in order to create what you've been wanting to create.
So how do we? I think a lot of people, are sort of disconnected from those things. How do we connect to that? Trust what lights us up.
Too many people focus on what they have to do. Too many people do what they think they have to do. Focusing on creativity, focusing on play, focusing on what brings you joy. These are the things. These are the things that we are referring to. When you are creative, when you are in that state, you are at ease with your heart, you are at ease with your mind, and you are in the flow of where your body just seems to take you and what you innately know how to create. That is the state that we are talking about achieving. And this is something that is done through performing hobbies and through
Mm-hmm.
playing and through
Right.
doing what you enjoy versus what you feel you have to do.
So those things might seem kind of inconsequential, or to some people, or not useful, but because they're quote unquote hobbies. But there's something in those things that are really important. It sounds like.
Yes. Understand something. The ones who are missing the boat right now are the ones who are doing what they think they have to do. Right now, there are those who are doing what they enjoy and they are connecting with others who are doing what they are enjoying as well. There is a frequency right now that exists on the planet that when you are doing what you enjoy, you align with that frequency. That frequency then attracts you to other people and them to you. And your gifts are what become valuable to the other person, and their gifts become valuable to you. Harmonious relationships and partnerships is where this is evolving to. Those who are focused on doing what they have to do and insist on keeping their noses to the grindstone are the ones who will stay isolated and will miss this grand opportunity for companioned creation. It is your gifts that are valued the most. You all have them. It's time to start using them.
And somehow people's gifts are sort of revealed by sort of following that, the things that bring them joy, or
Mm-hmm. One of the other attributes before we go, we want to speak on in terms of this. Hang around with positive people who see your gifts and reflect them back to you. In this time, if you are around negative people and are around people that reflect negatively to you, the implications are far more challenging because at this time, as you move more harmoniously into collective consciousness and acting from that place, there must be harmony afoot. The most harmonious of relationships are those that reflect the highest qualities of one another to each other. Your gifts are literally that which will bring you together. And so practicing being in your gifts and expressing your gifts is easily the fastest way to achieve joy and achieve harmonious unison and thus manifestation at this time. Do not strike out alone and try to conquer the world by yourself. This is the time to find out who you are. Find out what are your gifts. Find out who is curious about your gifts. And share.
Mm-hmm.
You will create something that neither of you had ever predicted.
Mm-hmm.
They just left the house.
Oof, gone. They left the house.
Like, oh,
They don't.
that
They
was
didn't.
it.
They didn't have to like walk out a door, or they just like woof, gone. Apparently, huh?
I'm just like, oh, yep. I just shifted. Yep.
That's funny. Yeah, a lot of good stuff in there. Certainly, I'm always trying to explain this sort of, yeah, just the little spark that arises, the little sparks that we, like you said, the things that draw us to our hobbies, or the things that we do for fun that we're maybe doing, that we feel drawn towards when we're not, doing our jobby job that we got to do to make money or whatever.
Yeah.
People wouldn't think that, well, that's my hobby, or that's, but maybe that there's, and that sort of quality of that spark that arises is really important. And I'm always trying to, seems like it's something that I've become more and more aware of in me, to sort of follow that, and trying to tell people how to follow that. But I don't think it's always clear, like, what it is that I'm talking about. It's like it's overlooked. It's like it's such a simple thing. It's right in front of your face that gets overlooked. Oh, the feeling I have when I'm working on my model trains, or the feeling I have, whatever, that lights me up.
Yeah.
With this thing or that thing. It seems inconsequential, or people don't necessarily recognize it as something important.
Yep. Yep.
But it is important.
It is important. It's big.
And that other thing about being with people who sort of like see your gifts and reflect them back to you. Like, I think about why, I often wonder, like, why, when I was in chiropractic school, why is it that your sister, for instance, why we were connected, or why our other friend Amy, what she saw in me? Because when I look back, I was kind of I was a jerk on a whole bunch of levels, but they saw something in me, apparently, that they liked and kept reflecting back to me.
Yep.
And those relationships certainly made me made me notice something, like, what do they see? What are they seeing? And yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Well, that's good advice. How do you feel now after that? What happens?
Oh, tired.
Seemed like
Uh,
you were
but it's
yawning
just,
you were yawning before though.
yeah, I mean, it's I'm not tired from that. I'm like, actually, when I'm there, when I'm doing that, it feels good.
Uh,
I like being in that state.
yeah, how about how we sort of like did that? Is that it seems like I felt like, oh, maybe I shouldn't sort of interject, but it seems like they really, maybe I don't know, as things arise at the same time, if there's some sort of contract maybe we're engaging in here, and that I should sort of trust the, because it seemed like as soon as I say it, like they bounce off of it and like, um, you know, it's like they're already got something to say about that deepening in that topic before I even get the question out of my mouth.
Though, yeah, and that's how they work too. Is like the audience will shape the message.
Sure, of course, of
Like,
course.
they're literally going, oh, someone's gonna watch this. I could actually feel some, they're even show, like I can even feel
Mm.
somebody thinking about money. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Like in the
start.
future, because no one else is
Yeah,
watching this yet.
right. But it's like right now is present time for someone.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdness, you know.
Right.
And so there, it's like that someone's hearing that and going, oh, I'm gonna go manifest $1 million, and like, and they're literally showing me this person thinking that, and then
Mm.
they're going, okay, well, we need to we
We
need to
need to
clear this part
talk to
up.
that person. Uh-huh.
Pretty fascinating.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Huh. Well,
fun stuff.
what now? I suppose that's the end, huh?
Yeah, I
Is
almost
this
think, out of this thing, I almost think we could almost do like 3 podcasts out of this one interview. This one sitting,
well,
or two. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I'd say, you think we should stop? Hey, you know what? Before we stop recording, maybe we should just say again, um, what should we say?
Create a trailer, like an ending.
No, just like, oh, I'm gonna do that sort of thing, but just maybe reiterate. Yeah, or maybe it's just maybe you just end it.
Or like a well, thanks everyone for tuning in and checking us out.
Yeah, that thing, exactly that. Yeah,
That kind of thing. Okay.
good work.
Well, hey folks, thanks for tuning in and checking us out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for Thanks for checking out New Consciousness Now, and
Exactly.
um, thank you for being here with us on this journey.
Hopefully that was useful to someone.
Yeah, hopefully you got something out of that, and
If you need either of us, Gail Wolf, WULF,
or Dr.
or
J.
Dr. J.
Eager.
Eaker, UECKER. Looks like
I'm glad you
euchre.
spelled that. I probably wouldn't have been able to.
That's all right. No one can. UECKER, like euchre,
That's right.
at biosoulintegration.com. Yep. If you need anything, look us up. Think we should, we'll be back, right?
We'll be back. We'll be back.
Cool.
Yeah, good times.
You want to stop the recording?
Yeah, sure.
Unless there's something else you got to